It's mostly
TV.
TV.
Okay.
It can be radio, but we've had weird things like a white noise machine or an air conditioning unit, things like that get picked up. So it gives parents like strategies and techniques, but also like objective data
Yeah.
to help them see what's happening.
And if they're improving.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
In the home?
Really interesting.
Yeah, we also have programs that do similar stuff in like early child care classrooms. And so a teacher can see the levels of interactive talk and if there's a child that's not being engaged. And there's a coaching curriculum for the educators. And then we also have like a home visiting curriculum. And it's used in lots of like universities and research applications as well.
Is it in the schools or just home-based?
Mostly home-based, but also like early child care centers, mostly focused on ages 0 to 3, sometimes up to 5 for those early care centers.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that facility existed.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Is it a private company
It's
or
a nonprofit in Boulder.
what's it called?
LENA, L-E-N-A. It stands for Language Environment Analysis.
L-E-N-A,
N-A.
Lena?
Yeah.
Huh.
Have you been there a long time?
I've been there like 8 months now.
Is that right out of school?
No. So I worked at Techstars for a year before.
Oh, nice.
They do startup accelerators all around the world, but they're based in Boulder. And then for 4 years before that, I worked for a government contracting company in Lafayette, business development. And then for 2 years before that, I worked at a steel mill.
A steel mill?
Yes.
Where'd you grow up?
Alabama. So
Birmingham?
Good for you.
yeah, so it was in Mobile. It was ThyssenKrupp, and so I did our automotive customers.
I did plastics design.
Yeah. Oh, hi.
Hey.
So Essie's running late. I haven't heard from Michelle. Either way.
Sitting there like kids.
Calculate our waste consumption.
It's a lot.
Big number.
Did you study childhood development or something?
I didn't. I worked at an after school math and reading center all through college, and then went into more like traditional business roles. I did my MBA at DU, but then I don't know. I liked that this is like it takes all the things that I'm good at and puts it with something that I feel good about doing, which makes a difference.
Yeah.
So.
What does your significant other do?
He works as a financial analyst for a real estate investment company. And he's doing his MBA at CU for real estate finance. So he graduates in May.
Oh, that'll be the
Yes.
change, won't it?
Yes.
He's going to school full time or is
Yeah. I mean, he's doing a full-time program, but he's still working like 15 to 20 hours a week. It'd be nice to just.
Is Lena English only?
Our curriculum for the parent group model is in English and Spanish. And our software is normed for English and Spanish accurate word counts. It gets used in over 200 languages, I think, because essentially if you're recording day-to-day the same language, it'll show progress or increases or decreases.
I would think in the bilingual it would be interesting to show how the kid's developing.
There's a lot of research on you should talk to your child in your home language, whatever you're most fluent
Right.
in, because you get a more diverse quantity of words and a more robust conversation. And that bilingualism is actually like incredibly powerful for your brain in later life. So.
Huh. Interesting.
So it's 5:34. It's kind of up to you if you want to wait a few minutes or want to start.
Why don't we start, and if there's something important to go back to, we'll go back to it when we come. Calling meeting to order, please. Any public comment? Nothing. Okay. You want to walk through the newsletter? Thanks.
It's mostly the same recurring items. There is, Mike didn't, I think, came up with Christmas tree recycling. We don't have any numbers for that, but I guess it went really well anecdotally right now, and Martin will get numbers. There is the call, here we go, the new name.
Oh, amazing.
So the new blurb is up there. And then if you're interested in applying, please fill out the application. So that's been updated and added.
You know, you should have had a picture of people having fun. You should have had picture of people having like loads of fun, like, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Jumping into recycle bins.
Like that, yeah.
Next month, you guys can come up with an article. It's on your work plan for monthly articles. So if there's something that you want to add for next month's.
Thought it was very well worded.
That thing?
Yes.
Thanks.
So yep, that is the only brand new. Okay, Winter Bike to Work Day is advertised. A little update for Resource Central, Center for Resource Conservation shortening their name. And a link.
Have we had any applicants for
When is,
the committee?
There will be two.
There is
Wow.
one.
No.
Yeah, and they both sound really interested and eager to join.
How many is the
So
last
they're both involved with Cycle and helping do education outreach. So I
Great.
think they'd be awesome. So fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one I've spoken to, she was referred to us by Lisa. Lisa?
Yeah,
cookies,
yeah,
sure.
who came with Leah.
Because we're fun.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Need to put
Whoever
that-
bought them, it's not them, not fun. I
Put
am
that
free.
in his, There's cookies.
Cookies, we have fun.
Probably good thing 'cause those things are good.
Does it get solid cookies?
It's nice to
Mm.
hold. I
Cookies,
can
yeah.
And as far as I know, though, they haven't
I
turned
believe
one
it
in
is
yet,
anything,
so
'cause
Martin
I
hasn't
don't
seen
think
them.
Yeah, they said they're really interested in events in a while, so
Yeah.
That one is, she's one is gonna join.
cool.
One
Awesome.
Very
She's
good.
Yeah.
You know, the
She's-
yard was.
She does the outreach
Mm-hmm.
for records. So,
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
So more just general information, reminding to recycle their Christmas trees, and that they could bring it to the yard waste site, securing trash on windy days. I know you guys had talked a little bit about that. Bulk item discard, information, the hazardous waste. I think that is on the upcoming, the day where they come here, so people can bring in their stuff. The dates are in our notes.
It's usually in May sometimes, isn't it?
It looks like on the agenda it shows it'll be April 14th.
April.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think that's it. Any questions, comments on newsletter? Yay for the new name. Christmas tree program. Like I said, we didn't get any data back from it yet, but it sounded like it went really well. They felt like they had a big turnout and got a lot of trees in, so data will be coming on how much they collected for that. And I think it was 2 scout groups, one from Superior and one from maybe Louisville, that were running it this time. The Garden in the Box. They're going to start marketing it a little early, so city staff will put it in the newsletter starting in February, and then they'll also do an e-blast. And I think they're planning to add more than the 50 that they did last year. So
And-
there'll be more available.
And how jazzy is the email, you know what I mean?
You know, I'm not sure, and I don't know who is putting it together. Martin will be back at the end of the meeting, So he may know, probably either Allison or,
Okay. 'Cause I usually just write, emails telling the facts, but one of my staffers just took one of my emails and like made it kind of cute and
yeah.
it really did.
Yeah.
And how many people filled out the stupid survey?
The power of marketing.
Lessons learned, yeah.
I'm making a note, make it jazzy and fun.
Jazzy
Is that the
and
word?
fun,
Fun,
just like
definitely.
aces.
That should be easy with plants and flowers.
Yeah.
Garden
Mhm.
boxes.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we know there's more than 50, but not an exact number. Okay.
Not that I have in my notes. But that'll come out. So there'll be a
Okay.
March pre-sale, and then pickup will be the first part of May through June again. And you can get on the wait list now already for the garden box, so if people are interested, but it won't be on the newsletter until February. But the wait list is open on the Resource Central website, which is on the newsletter. So if anyone you know is interested already that you've been talking to, they can get on that. Calendar, so this is the hazardous and hard to recycle events. Will be April 14th from 9 to noon. And that will go on the newsletter as well and an e-blast. And it's going to be located at the school, at the K through 8 school.
Different days this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Arbor Day brings up, you guys had talked a little bit about wanting to jazz and fun up your booth. That's going to be my new word.
Jazz.
Jazz it up. The staff is already ordering a banner with the new name.
Okay.
Awesome.
So that will be here by the booth for sure. And a question if you want to order the reusable shopping bags again. Did you want to give those out?
I
Those
feel
have
like
not
we
been ordered yet.
still have a lot based on the box I saw at Chili Fest. But I think we'd also talked about, was there a possibility to do something like light bulbs or
Was there an event after Chili Fest? I feel like I was at
Count
one
the
we
Lights?
almost no.
Chili
Huh.
Fest was in like October.
Yeah, must not have been.
I feel
Huh,
like there
that'd
were
be crazy.
there was still like a whole like half a box or something.
Cool. Yeah, as long as you've got plenty.
Sort
That
of
sounds
like
good.
enough to do that, and if you came up with something else, it could work out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then-
There were also people who said at Chili Fest, like, I already have a ton of bags. I don't need another one.
Well, people always do like, and the LEDs are now kind of about the price of the CFLs when we were giving those out a few years ago. They really come down, so
Mhm.
maybe
Be
we
good.
could consider it.
So as of right now, do not reorder.
No, do not
No.
order. I mean, if we're talking about stuff for there, I know this isn't a giveaway, but with all of our materials, do we have the most up-to-date you can recycle this list? Because there still is definitely a lot of confusion of what you can recycle in the town.
So that was one idea for jazzing it up, was
Magnets.
having like a either magnetic or real like 3-bin situation with things that people could like, and then you could say like, oh, where does this go?
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And then you could be like,
I like that.
nope, that is recyclable, or no, that should be composted, or no, it's trash.
I think that's a great
That sounds
idea.
fun.
Mhm.
So that could be a fun like activity thing to have at our booth.
Very good.
I would like
And
to
then
review
just
the
give a-
answers, the
give
correct
away-
answers prior to the event.
Yeah.
And we can give away the little things to the people who won.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if they do it correctly, they get a light bulb.
If not, they only get a list of what
And
can be
or-
recycled.
Or a bag. And a bag.
Not they take the offending.
So I don't know if that's like something, like I don't know if there's like a standard kit you can buy for teaching people how to recycle that shows like those 3 bins, or if it's something we can make, but I'm happy to look into that.
Well, gosh, I wonder if I have 3 of them. At a lot of conferences, I get those little, they're too small though. They're about this size of recycling bins, you know?
Production zone.
But they're a little too small, I think, so, yeah. They make pencil holders, that's about it. That's about how big they are. So,
Yeah, like we don't want anything as big as a regular bin, but something, yeah.
Mhm.
suggestion on that, that this Michelle, who was, who wants to join,
Mhm.
that's what she does, regular cycle. She
Yeah.
does outreach to the schools. So she might have
But
some
EcoCycle
ideas.
is not our provider in town. EcoCycle does not take our waste.
But she might have examples
They
of
should
ways
They
to
take
do.
Rock Creek's waste.
No, our waste goes to Denver,
I don't know what
to
you mean
waste
by that.
management.
But Rock Creek Waste Connection goes to EcoCycle. Maybe thinking of the compost. if we could
No,
just-
I think you might actually need to go, we might need to go and double check on that, but no, ours does not go to
Didn't used to.
EcoCycle.
We used to go to EcoCycle.
Because that's why we
They
can,
wanted to
we can
school back.
recycle different stuff in the town of Superior than you can at EcoCycle. So even though we send the kids to EcoCycle, we can actually recycle more in the town of Superior because we go to the Denver facilities.
At the very least, if she has some suggestions for outreach, we might be able to tweak
Absolutely.
those.
She'll be useful
Whatever
regardless.
our
Yes.
situation is.
Booth activities.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's funny because we so Old Town goes to EcoCycle, like all of Old Town
Mhm.
stuff from what I understand.
Huh.
But ours doesn't. But that's from the mouths of EcoCycle when I took the trip with the kids. So, but anyways, I love EcoCycle.
And another thing, they were the
March
first
12th.
dropouts from EcoCycle.
Mhm.
Mm,
So a
Oh,
fun
we could-
activity for the booth.
yeah, regardless, we'll be good off.
Yeah.
I think we could cobble that together. I bet we could borrow the 3 bins in this room.
Yeah.
For
Mhm.
the weekend day.
Oh, that's actually a good size.
Yeah.
Just right.
Hi.
Right. Colorful.
Sorry I'm late. I was trying to watch on the TV and I couldn't see that. And I was
Oh, no.
like, it's such a far drive. So pardon my lateness and interruption.
Introduce yourself.
Stacy Bowman, resident for 14 years.
Excellent.
And very sick, so.
Yeah, so stay over
Welcome.
there.
Enjoy some of your
It
partners.
just sounded a little stuffed up.
Just a wee bit, but, yeah, I saw the posting for the vacancy, so.
Excellent.
And
Thanks for
I
coming.
Finally decided to tune into what's going on.
Well, welcome.
Thank
Mhm.
you. No, sorry.
Glad to have you.
Well, we've kind of got on to sharing ideas about the Arbor Day event. We're
We
there.
did.
We did.
Sorry.
Oh, I did, no, it's good. I had a follow-up question on that. Well, you suggested, or you asked about reordering the bags. We said we didn't need more bags, but is there a budget available to order something different?
Because I think
Mhm.
you have the same budget that you had last year.
Usually it's
So-
around $2,000, right?
And I don't know how much it is.
Okay.
So, let me text Martin that right now, because that's kind of important.
Cool.
If you're gonna
Yeah.
do some research.
And that's a budget
Or
for
if there's,
the,
like, a
for the entire year
sponsor.
for the committee, or I guess just,
Yeah.
if we clarify how that's structured, we can
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
decisions about what we want to do with
I
it.
believe that's
Yeah.
specific for giveaways for the booths and stuff.
Specifically for giveaways for the
I
booths.
believe.
And do we
Okay.
know if somebody like Excel would donate, or somebody else?
We can certainly check. I'd be happy to
Okay.
reach out or.
Yeah, I bet they would do something.
Mm-hmm.
Never know.
They could give us free LEDs to give away.
Yeah. Okay. So I
Give us some
texted
free-
Martin, what's the
some
budget for
free
giveaways
water.
for booths? Committee wants to order something new, so it'll give you some baseline on what, when you guys are researching what's gonna fit in your budget.
At the Arbor Day, then we'll also have somewhat info about Garden by the Box, or will the things already have gone out, or what?
I think the sales will already have closed by then, because normally they sell out in March, and then, so.
Sorry.
You know what, too, we can find out if we know an exact number. Do you wanna know how many more
How many more?
Garden in the Box?
Oh, yeah,
Let me
That
see.
could be a good idea.
that would be good to know.
Don't we have
I don't know
like
if-
50 reserved?
We can
She
also
said there's
plan-
gonna be more this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't
Do
know
we get,
exactly.
like
how
some
many.
reserved for the town? Do you
I don't
know.
know.
Mm.
We could also, though, have photos or something so that we could get people excited about the next year.
Yeah, and also looking, I mean, April is going to be, hopefully we would have information about any of the landscaping workshops, or like summer yard maintenance things, to go with our water conservation goal, or even about the sprinkler audits.
Mhm.
So I think we could like carefully, because when I did Chili Fest, it was just like this jumble of materials in a box sitting by a booth. And I think if we were a little more strategic and saying like, okay, we want these 3 brochures because these are the 3 things we're promoting May, June, July, like make sure that we have enough of those and that they're like not all, yeah, that they're
Instead of just-
current and not all bent, and
Instead of just everything.
instead of a little bit of everything.
The other thing that'd be good too is to create a pamphlet about ACES now that we have a new name, and explain what we do, so that people are interested in getting more information, or if we still have vacancies by then they can get that information. So.
That sounds good. She's taking notes, so we're in good shape.
And
Okay,
I-
it said 2,000 to 2,500 for reordering supplies.
Great.
Cool.
Well, that's encouraging. Oh, there'll be more light bulbs that we can give away.
Do we have any sense of how many bags we have in terms of boxes? I know you said we've got plenty, but I was just curious.
Yeah.
To know, like, really, how many?
'Cause I know,
So-
like, at July 4th, we went
Yeah.
through 2 boxes full of bags.
Oh, wow.
So it was crazy when I was doing that. But I don't know if that's typical or just people really
Yeah.
wanted bags then. So,
Well,
So-
I was at Arbor Day last year. We went through maybe 20 or 30
Yeah.
bags,
Yeah.
individual bags. So
Yeah.
it wasn't an overwhelming amount.
The
okay.
weather's been bad on Arbor Day the last 3 years. It's rained on us.
Well, July 4th is just kind of its own little
So we should-
different beast,
Yeah.
too.
Right.
That's
It's definitely
like
a
the
different event than
biggest.
most of the other ones.
Yeah.
Maybe we should give out umbrellas for this year.
Would it be possible maybe, I mean, I'm happy to go through the box and count bags or look at materials, or if we want to do it
That would
like
be awesome.
at a,
Yeah, that'd be
before or
great.
after a meeting, like
Where is this box?
somewhere.
It's in
It
this
appears
building.
when events
Okay.
happen.
Martin drags it out.
Maybe,
Oh, that's
maybe
funny.
you can bring it to
Yeah.
our next meeting.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, we'll bring
We're gonna be
it.
doing it while we're,
Yeah.
it's heavy,
And
heavy
sort,
thinking.
sort papers.
Right.
Or if it's here, Martin could probably pull it out
Yeah.
when he comes back.
Okay.
Theoretically, he said it was going to be back by about 6:10, so
Yeah.
we'll see if that works or not. But.
How many bags are left? I've got a couple in my office. That's. I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so Caitlin's going to go through the box and research the bin idea. Does someone want to make the new pamphlet about a new recruiting pamphlet?
I'd be happy to put something together and then send it around.
Great.
People want.
I'll make my staffer make it look cute, I'm just kidding.
Perfect.
Jazzy.
You rewrite it.
What do you mean?
And then we should maybe do some research on what we can get with $2,000 to $2,500
Yeah.
that is energy related.
Does someone want to
Recycling.
do that research on light bulbs or
You're gonna talk to Excel?
possible other?
Yeah, I'm happy to reach out to Excel and see if they can help us out with any giveaways.
And I'll stop by Costco and just see what they cost, because sometimes
Perfect.
it's cheaper than, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And on the household hazardous waste, you two did that last year,
I did.
right? And there was some feedback and comments on ways to improve it this year.
Well, like the flow that's sensible would make some sense, so yes, and that or they have to come with a map before they, so we can show people exactly where they're supposed to go, because it was really, really unclear.
So
Yeah,
maybe
we would
maybe
tell
we
people
should get
that
some.
certain items would like just throw them off, and you'd be like, "But I told you to go this way." And they would go the other
It
way,
was
and we were
nonsense, it
screwed
just
at
made
that point.
no sense the way that they had it like laid out, and so if they're gonna do it nonsensical again, then I have to have it in writing, because I can't, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe if we can work with them, I don't know, like, if we should just give you guys comments and you will talk to them, or if they want to come to one of our meetings, or
That's a thought. Let's have them come to one of our meetings.
could invite them.
So that there's a
Mhm.
give and take. That would be good. Because don't we pay them for this?
I think so.
So,
Yeah,
not my way or
seems
the highway
reasonable.
then, man.
Okay,
Right?
it's the event
We're
is-
summoning you.
It's April 14th. So which meeting? So you'd have February,
I think any of the ones that they're available, like
March.
February or March.
and I think
Mhm.
the April one may be cutting it
That,
close.
that would be
That's-
too close. They
yeah.
say, oh, we're all set on our ways.
We've already made our
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
our meeting will be on the 12th.
Yeah.
No.
So if
Mhm.
we could invite them to February and or like give them those two options of
Yeah.
February or March.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You've been summoned to the ACES.
issue a subpoena.
Yeah.
Can we do
Just
that?
throwing our weight around here in town.
A green subpoena.
Oh.
We have a gavel, so we must be able to.
Okay, and then just throwing it out there on, you know, you don't have to decide now who may be able to attend at Arbor Day. I will be there, but I have a coyote booth, so I will be talking
Nice.
to coyotes. I can dress you up as a coyote if you're interested.
I'm not sure about Arbor Day, I'll check my calendar, but I'm willing to do the hazardous waste thing again, or Arbor Day, I don't care.
I will be tentative for probably one or the other.
And we have time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna be out of the state for both of those, so.
Yeah, one is a 4-day weekend at school, so.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else on new business update? That's all I have. Discussion for the work plan, and I think Essie was there at the meeting, and if you wanted to talk to them about the updates the board suggested for your work plan?
Sure. So, yeah, I presented our work plan to the board on Monday, I guess, and they seem to like our work plan for the coming year. One of the pieces of feedback that we got is that they would really like us to focus on promoting EV charging infrastructure in the new town center, which sounds great to me. I'm not sure what the best approach is for actually doing that, but they suggested that we amend our work plan to incorporate that. So I would be happy to add something in if we can figure out something that's actually reasonable to work towards.
Okay.
And then another related part was also just transportation in general, so encouraging more bike traffic and kind of alternative commuting strategies and things like that for transportation. So certainly there could be an educational piece. I'm not sure if there's more than that we could focus on, but I'd be happy to add that into our work plan as well if that seems reasonable.
So I have a dumb question. So I don't know where if we're talking about bikes in town center and around,
Mm-hmm.
how do people get from town center to this side of the road? That roundabout? Oh my God,
I would be terrified to ride in that, yeah.
Holy crap, it's
Yeah.
terrible.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah,
could we, could we?
That's right, okay. Yeah, there will be an
but
underpass.
I don't know, it's not like direct, we have to come up this way, I think, to
You
access.
could get to
Ah.
it. It's a little awkward.
It's a
Yeah.
little awkward, but.
I think it's basically from just over there, there's an underpass that goes on the highway, so.
maybe-
There's an underpass?
Yeah.
There's an
Maybe
underpass.
we
It's right by
could-
it.
One under McCaslin down
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
there's
one you
another
could
one.
do.
There's one over here.
There's also one right out here too, yeah.
Okay.
So maybe we could partner with like the Parks and Recs and open
Mhm.
space to do like guided bike tours
Yeah.
of like the new trail
That's
connection.
actually a good idea.
Or maybe even-
That is the connection, being like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
We could do themed ones, cost to dress up. You
That'd be
make
great.
it lots of
Wine
jazz.
party,
We could.
Yep.
And then I think you have to ride your bike first and then to the wine party.
Like the 5K that they had here back in the early summer, could they have the path go, do that, like, as a way to introduce the bike?
Yeah, if there's more 5Ks coming up with the town. Yeah, I
Would-
think like if we could partner
Yeah.
and do some kind of event like that that's like educational, gets people out on the trails. Because that's always my biggest thing is like, well, if I don't know where I'm going, it's hard to like stop and look for directions while you're on a bike.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and maybe we can also do something with Bike to Work Day as well, because they've got tons of booths and everything else. So, and another opportunity. I'm not sure if there's any budget for something along these lines, but maybe just looking at potential for signage to make sure that it's really easy to find out if you're on a bike how you can not get killed.
I
So-
drive, I'm scared.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Some signage that kind of points out the underpass?
Yeah, exactly.
That would be really useful, I think. And can I deviate from the agenda for just a second? It's only because I don't know how many. So do we have a quorum?
We do.
We do.
We're supposed to have elections at one of the first meetings, and we have never been able to have one on time. And if we have a quorum, we should have elections.
It's
It's on the
It's
agenda.
on-
I
yeah.
nominate you for vice chair.
Thank you.
Denominating
very-
yourself.
Very, very honest.
Yeah, you guys can kick me out to the curb if you guys want. You had enough of my so-called leadership. No,
She did say
I was
vice.
vice
No,
chair.
I know. I
She
just,
wants to
I
replace
know.
herself.
No, I heard. I was just joking too. I mean, or not. We'll see. But yeah.
Yes, it's on there. It is on the
No,
agenda.
you're good, so we'll make sure. That's what we-
Yeah, that'll be afterwards.
No one can leave.
No one can leave.
No one,
Yeah.
yes. If somebody tries to leave, we're gonna vote. Lock the
Then you
doors.
win.
Yeah.
Okay, so just going back to work plan really quick. So
Yeah.
if you guys want to do the language, I had 3 things on there. One, this is a change that they wanted.
That's
So-
right. They want to
Yeah.
make it clear that we're not a compliance
Yeah.
agency, so
That was
they
the
want
note
to.
I made was like,
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the town.
Oh,
said
yeah,
this
that was
to
my
do
reaction.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, so Martin already changed this right here. So it will
Cool.
coordinate with staff to confirm compliance for all new development. And then updating language to highlight EV stations and bike share.
Mhm.
So if there's something,
Essie said he'd do it, didn't he?
Well, so we could either.
What's the EV thing say?
Yeah, we could either come up with some language together right now, or I could put together something and just send it out, whichever you guys would all prefer.
I'd say whatever they said sounds fine.
Yeah.
They
You
didn't
can-
have the specific language, they just said that we should include something about EVs, so.
And so I think we should.
Yeah,
say
and so
something about EV.
I
Right.
think, I mean, if we're talking about the PACE program, and EV is part of that as well. Like they would talk to
No,
people
'cause
about.
PACE is
I'm
specifically
not
about
sure.
businesses.
Depends. If
Yeah.
a business, I'm sure if a business wanted to install EV, PACE would help advise them.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily.
Okay.
And I hate to always piggyback off of Boulder, but they always do the research first, so why shouldn't we
Yeah.
do what they did?
Mhm.
So if you can find someone who's been doing EV in, Boulder, can you have them come?
to a meeting?
Yes. Yeah, because that's, I don't,
I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know what we would
Lewisville's got a
do.
ton in it, so.
to like,
You know, the
Otherwise,
bike share
I'd say
too, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Superior does bike share yet, right?
no.
And
No.
Essie, did they talk about wanting to start bike share in Superior?
I'm not sure that was necessarily specific to bike share. I think
Just
it
encouraging
was.
more biking.
It was more about, yeah, just encouraging biking in general, and whether that's bike share or if there are other options,
So
then
we
kind
need-
of
I
just.
need to clarify with Martin then when he comes in, because he
Okay.
had talked to me about bike share. But I
Okay.
wasn't
Okay.
quite sure where he was going with that, so I was hoping you.
Yeah, I didn't write down anything about bike share. I had just written
Okay.
down like promoting alternative travel in general
Okay.
in my notes. So.
Innocent bystander to the whole biking concept. I was actually thinking about this the other day, and my thought was, once the community's built back here, from where I am, it would be easy peasy, right? But if
Mhm.
I have to go up McCaslin and down Rock Creek Parkway, vice versa, that's always been my biggest deterrent to get to this part of town.
He's going back up the hill?
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so honestly, I just don't see a big draw for bike share yet. Like, I think
Completely agree.
Mhm.
really get the community to be a bike community.
Yeah.
Their own bicycles first before.
There's no shortage of bikes on this.
No.
Right.
Is in this community.
Got 5 extra in my garage. Yeah.
Townhomes
I
and
think we
stuff,
have 4
and
owners.
love less storage, but they still want the whole biking around thing, but
Yeah.
I think that would be a longer term.
But
Mhm.
More about biking around than by having
Yeah.
bikes available to borrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The,
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that, like, once the town center is more built up, it might make sense to have a bike share. But I totally agree. Right now, it's, I think the main things we can do is more around education and signage and
Yes.
that type of stuff,
Mhm.
rather than trying
Bring
to.
some enthusiasm.
It's true
Yeah,
though, because I
exactly.
know somebody that got lost trying to get to the bike highway thing.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
not sure how you got lost, but
yeah. Well, that's, I don't know,
well, the one that goes.
if
on
you
36.
connect with the
They were trying
other
to catch the part
committee
of the
chairs
town.
at all,
Yeah, the part
or
to
like
Denver, no,
how we
get
can
there.
reach out to Parks and Rec group.
Well, so
Or-
the chair of OSAC is my next door neighbor,
Okay.
so I
Okay,
can reach out to
there you
him.
go. Just knock on the door.
And there's currently discussion about whether or not to merge OSAC and PROSAC
Yeah.
anyway, so I have no idea what's going on with that, but I can find out and
Okay. Yeah.
connect with them.
If they'd
So,
be interested in
yeah.
working together on a event.
Yeah. So should we
Help
add a
people
line?
not get lost.
Would it make sense for you guys just to add a line that says something like investigate options to promote EV charging stations in Superior?
Sure.
And I'll be
Yes.
kind of vague, and then we can just.
And some,
Yeah,
almost the
start
same
with that.
language with biking.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Okay, let's do that.
The keyboard's
So-
there if you want to
Oh,
add it in.
cool.
He'll
This is
also
exciting.
need the
I've never done this
mouse.
before.
It's not as fun as you
Um,
think it is.
Well, I know, but should it be an ongoing or linked to a specific quarter?
The third quarter looks kind of light.
So they're updating the link,
Okay.
which is where we're at
You
right
can
And
put
it's
it-
just biking
So
time.
yeah, you're right, third quarter is, but,
Biking time.
Probably spring and summer.
Second
Yeah.
quarter, third quarter.
Yeah.
but we
So
wouldn't
maybe-
be able to get anything implemented in
Yeah.
time, so putting it in the third quarter would allow us to get it planned and in place for the
I
next
fe-
year.
I feel like biking could go.
Yeah.
I feel like biking could go in the ongoing kind of like recycling education for
Sure.
residents.
I
Mhm.
like that.
That it could be a resident education.
We could even put biking / alternative transport.
Would you be able to turn on the, what was that?
Biking and alternative transport education
Excellent.
for residents and businesses.
Would you be able to turn on the track changes? It doesn't look like it's on, so.
Review.
Mhm.
One more up. No,
Oh,
one
sorry.
more to the left.
Yeah.
My eyes, sorry, I don't have my
And then-
long glasses on. I
Down
can't.
and to the right. One, yep,
Oh.
yep, left, other left.
Other
That one.
left.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
Like, yeah, or,
Please.
No, welcome.
I know. And I have 2 pairs of glasses I don't wear either, because I've got ones in rooms.
all right, does that sound good?
Yes.
Bike and alternative transportation? And then should we add EV charging as well into ongoing or link it to a specific quarter?
I
Either
would
way.
think-
Third quarter.
Third quarter?
Well,
That's
the only, if the board has excitement and energy around it now, there could be an advantage of coming back with, especially if
more
proposals are gonna
opportunities.
require board support,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it might make sense to do it as soon as possible, even if we have to push something else to a later quarter.
Okay.
Should we add to a second quarter? We can always push it off.
Why not do it, why not put it in first quarter?
Yeah.
We
All
can
right,
push
let's do
out-
it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can push it like Excel Partner and Energy, we could push that later.
Yeah.
There's no real timeline or deadline for that.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
We can always, if we leave something in the first quarter and it doesn't happen, we can
Yeah,
still
we
get
can,
to
we
it
can
at
always
a
spill
different
over,
time.
but
So,
we don't wanna flood ourselves with first quarter items either.
so I know nothing about EV charging. And I'm just wondering, like, what, if we know anything amongst us, what can we do to promote it? And, like, who actually decides to put in EV? Like, isn't that a town budget piece for the most part?
believe
So the ones we have now, town paid for, right?
They got a grant.
Hi, y'all. Sorry to be late.
Martin.
Martin Toth, Town Staff. So, Lisa, your question about the existing EV stations, there was a grant maybe 5 or 6 years ago now that y'all will remember for the original stations. Then last year, during 2017, we got a subsequent grant from RAQC to get the new charge point stations in here and at Founders Park and at Community Park.
Nice.
So those were replacement stations for really early technology that was beginning to fail. The bezels around the top were failing, and they were constantly shorting out. It was a real maintenance hassle. So long story short, they're about $6,000-7,000 a piece, and installation is the expensive part because you have to bring electric if it is in a place where there isn't electric. So the public ones that have been installed so far have been installed by the town. I think the owner of the marketplace has installed one by niche.
Yeah. They have a fast charge one.
They have a fast charge one over there, and those are the really nice, expensive ones. And they, so on public property would be the town, on private property would be a private entity.
So, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so has there been any outreach to the town center businesses or anything like that to, or request by the town council to put some in?
There hasn't been
As part of the
a,
PDs or any of that?
it hasn't been a conditional item, but it's been an item that's been, I think, recommended by this group, and it's been part of the, I think it was part of the list of potential options, but it's not been a requirement made by the board.
So is the town council, is their request around us doing more for additional grants for the town? Or is the request around like educating businesses about putting them on their own, or just a combination of all of the above?
It wasn't anywhere near that
Okay.
specific. I think the idea was just that several of the trustees had read about projections for expanding EV adoption over the coming decade, and so they're looking at, if we're putting in all these spaces for parking and parking structures and things like that, then maybe we should be adding in more charging infrastructure so that we're ready for the expanded proliferation of EVs.
And we have the right to committee to assign it to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think there are probably opportunities for us to look around at education, outreach to local businesses that are building in the town of Superior, and then also recommendations to the town board to see if there are spaces where the town could build in new infrastructure. So those would be my guesses.
And you know what, get like feedback from the Department of Motor Vehicle on how many cars in Superior are registered as EVs or hybrids, because you also have to kind of know what your demand is. I can safely say, I see it more in Boulder, but around here it's not.
Yeah.
I don't see it, and I mean personally, I think it's really rude how they stick the way back part of the parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're trying to do something good for the environment. They should get front row parking.
Yeah, exactly.
But it'd be good to as you're delving into that, is to know what the demand is.
Yeah.
because-
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just anecdotally, I suspect it's pretty minimal at the moment. So I think it's mostly just a future-facing thing of if we're building all this,
Get
Chicken
more.
and
this
the egg.
construction. Yeah.
I mean, it's
But what-
been more than you think. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah.
Just because Colorado had that thing that is only expiring this year, so like, that's the reason I
tax
got my
credit.
Leaf, because it was so stupid cheap at that point. So there are
And,
quite
and electric vehicles
quite a
are
few
coming on
more
the
in this
market
area
rapidly
because of
this year
that.
in
That's right.
particular. So.
And one of the places we might investigate is, did the state have a grant because of the Volkswagen money?
Oh, it might.
That's an
I
interesting.
That's a good
think-
point.
I think they had to spend that on this kind of stuff.
Oh. That's
And
Yeah,
I
that's
think
great.
environmental things to the state.
I can't hear you, what?
I see Tesla, I probably should stop talking. Tesla charging stations, did a trip around, was part of the country for the summer trip. And we saw Tesla, so I wonder if Tesla sponsors charging stations. I mean, they weren't specific, they were just generic. Tesla were on the side. There may be other ways to get sponsorship or grants.
Actually,
It'd be
maybe.
really- It'd be really nice if some of the states, in some cases, states like put out RFPs and then they get a really good bid on things that communities might want.
Mhm.
Maybe they've done something like that on charging stations,
Yeah, or maybe Excel wants some positive PR and wants to help us out.
You know
so.
what, actually, I'm glad this kind of went this way, because I wasn't even thinking about that, because I got mine, and my husband bought a charging station, installed it, because, well, I use my battery every day that I drive it, because I drive my max mileage on mine. But like, the amount of people I met that didn't know that you could just get a charging station, and there were rebates available, was a good
At
point. You're
home.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
at
Mhm.
home. And then on top of it, there was something else that just came up this last week that I went, oh, really, I had no clue. Now I have to remember what that was, because it caught me off guard. Oh, that's what it was. We signed up, and I'm not sure, kind of goes along with it, but for us, it was a different purpose. We just got a new meter on our house, because we got approved for the program through Excel, where we get a different, lower rate of cost at night.
Time use.
Oh,
Whoa.
So we've set up my car so it only charges at night.
All right.
Oh.
Excellent.
And stuff like that, but maybe that's sort of.
Hey, it's working.
sort of
Excellent.
into it.
Keep getting questions from Excel and other utilities of like, if we do this, our customers actually changing their behavior. So, excellent.
So yeah, so
That's
it's kind of
a
really
data
into that,
size of
because
one,
if we
sample
could
size
sort
of
of
one.
maybe keep a database helping, or maybe we don't have necessarily all the concise information, but maybe a good database
And
is part of
certainly
it.
something on the web newsletter?
To- I'm sorry, to do what for the newsletter?
Put something on the newsletter about it.
Like tips about like, hey, you can get rebates for your charging station, or hey,
We,
if you
we do have a
switch to this
section
night
for
program.
So-
green sustainability tips in the newsletter, so we could always, just do some of our own rather than just having Boulder County take it over.
Another thing, maybe, like they were talking about the tax, sustainability tax, that the commissioners would be more interested in like county-wide efforts. So if county-wide, they were looking at doing more EV charging stations, like that could be something that if our committee and neighboring communities all find that that's of value,
Yeah.
that then that can
Bulk
maybe
purchase.
influence some decision-making?
Mhm.
Or is there anything with Dr. Cog that
Yeah, no.
they do a lot of transportation-related
They
stuff?
do.
But yes, I think there are lots of options to look into at least, so I think it definitely makes sense for us to
Talking
spend some
Excel's
time.
a good idea too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Since you're talking about one thing.
Yeah.
light bulbs and
Yep.
$6,000 charging.
First off, would you like to give us some light bulbs? And oh, by the way, would you like to give us an EV charger? How much can we get out of you?
Low, go high.
All right. So, do these edits to the work plan sound good? Oh, sorry.
Fabulous.
Do you have?
I look forward to
I
figuring
move-
out all the ways we can do the EV stuff.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Talked about a bunch of them, yeah.
Okay, you do, because you,
I just have
you
one
bought in.
question for you
I
on
bought
the-
in, yeah.
Forgive my ignorance, but it looked
Ma'am,
like
I'm
the-
sorry, would you step up to the microphone, please?
Oh, that's right. We're supposed to.
Yeah, we're sorry.
Sorry.
We weren't being
That's
very
okay.
regimented, Martin, sorry.
Yeah.
I know. I'll leave for 20 minutes.
Regarding the electric vehicles, aren't there charging stations in Boulder solar powered?
Some of them are.
Okay.
I think a lot of them aren't, but.
All right, because when you're talking about running electrics and stuff, it just
Confuses you.
it didn't jive with what I've seen. But I don't get out there with a meter to know how much it's actually drawing. But anyway,
Yeah, like
Well,
us, yeah, I've seen a combination of both.
Yeah.
And I think the ones that are solar have to have a backup to provide
Oh, do they?
enough power.
A lot of the solar ones don't have enough power to actively charge EVs,
Yeah.
so
They could do a trickle.
They stay connected to the grid.
yeah.
generally.
I mean, it helps. It's great to have solar power, but it's not going to give you everything.
Yeah.
So.
you have wind it.
All right, exactly.
This morning would have done a good job.
Yeah, exactly.
So those were the changes, the only changes they requested.
Yeah, those are the
They
three.
blessed it, huh? Okay.
Yay.
Yep.
With all of our
Thanks,
bigness.
Essie.
So since we actually have a quorum, should we have a motion to approve this, or?
And go to the next?
Yep.
Motion to accept the changes to the work plan.
I second that motion.
Third.
Passed. I don't think there's anybody
All right,
tying.
we'll accept
Anybody
We all-
tying? No.
Eyes from everyone.
Everybody raised their hand at one point or another.
We're not
Exactly.
used to this.
I know.
I know. I was
So
going to say we have a
formal.
quorum so frequently I didn't even know what the right language is. All right. Anyway, we have the edits. We're good.
Okay.
Okay, on to the next agenda.
Just save it before I forget.
Sustainability items from the November meeting.
I don't remember anything about that.
I wasn't here, so.
What, is that the zero waste people's presentation?
There were a couple.
Yes.
What are we talking about, Martin? Help
I'm
us.
sorry. Here, let me refresh your memory. I could bring up the notes from the November meeting, but Kate Bailey from EcoCycle and Leah Yancey from the Boulder County Commissioner's Office, the Energy Sustainable Boulder Office, were here, and they made a presentation on a couple of different things. And Leah was great, and she had information on green business programs. I think I wrote down what they were. So they had the Zero Waste Action Plan. Remember the Zero Waste Action Plan that they were kind of showing the different sustainability groups around the county what their ideas were for that action plan. And we had offered to send them some comments. I didn't get any comments from anybody. Lisa, you said you were going to send them?
No, and yeah, I spent 30 hours this weekend on a project for a
Oh, and,
client, so.
yeah, another project. So if you do have comments and you want to send them, I
do,
don't,
okay.
I don't know when she was going to be finalizing a draft to present to, I'm assuming, our cab.
Who? To
To
whom? Boulder County
to
or
Boulder
to
County, to Leah and Kate Bailey to, I think, conglomerate the feedback from the different jurisdictions.
Oh,
So if you did have comments and didn't have a chance to send them yet, feel free.
I think that's Martin's.
That was one, and then she also talked about the Green Business Recognition Program. So we talked about that. That was a program that the county commissioners had been trying to promote because the local jurisdictions have a little more weight or a little more cachet in recognizing local businesses as opposed to the county, because it may be just local or more closely related or just proximity. And Kim Owens on this group had done some initial work with Heather Craycraft with the Chamber and with a member of the Energy Smart staff to do some outreach at the time a few years ago, and there were a couple of people I had written down that were interested in following up on that. Caitlin and Essie had indicated that you'd be interested in working with Leah to coordinate outreach to business and about incentives is what I wrote.
So we both went to the sustainability happy hour
Mm.
that Boulder County did and talked with a guy from Pace who said, like, essentially he's done it with all the other towns where they'll do all the outreach to the businesses. We just essentially have to figure out what tiers we want to set up and what recognition. And I don't know, I know it's on our second quarter work plan, but I think the things that we would need to know would be like, do we have a budget for any sort of business recognition? And maybe have Heather come to one of our meetings so we could talk to her about collaboration with the chamber on publicizing it, and if they have any budget to also. So the guy from Pace said, you know, they've done things like a big recognition event, like having a dinner or a happy hour or something like that for all the businesses and giving them like, here's all the gold, here's all the silver. He said that like the door stickers were really popular with businesses. So I don't know, like if the chamber or any of the chamber members would be willing to host an event. I don't know when the new hotel opens, if they would want to. Because they're
Yeah, that could
probably
be
going to
cool.
get really
They'll
good
be,
recognition
Yeah,
because
they're
they're all
gonna be
green.
what, lead
Poster
platinum or
challenge.
something.
So
They're quite a while out, though, aren't they?
doesn't it say 2018?
Well, it says 2018, so.
They're currently working
It's the
on
end of the
building
year.
up their
So if we got
theoretically-
everybody recognized and then had like a,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
at the end of the year, we had an event where people got their awards.
That's
Yeah.
actually a pretty damn decent plan. Whoops. That's a really good plan.
That was on the record. Yeah, so if we could work with the chamber to maybe like, if they could help coordinate, host, and if businesses can help donate like food and celebration, then we could figure out the decals and kind of all work together on that.
Yeah,
It's a
that'd be
plan that-
fantastic.
I vote in favor.
Ditto.
So the things are budget and talking with Heather.
Sure. Did you? So I made the note about budget. So budget's an easy one. You know, it's a little bit like the supplies budget. We have a couple $1,000s a year that we set aside for supplies and events. We'll need to get a new banner, and then there would be some budget available to make some plaques or help purchase some window clings that I think Heather and the chamber's already done for the chamber members. But we could do something similar, and that's what the group had committed to, and I think had presented to the board a couple of years ago when business recognition initially was proposed by this group.
And so that, I guess, is the third thing is, I don't know if the PACE people, if we should set up a separate thing with them to talk about the different levels and what their kind of template is.
I think that'd probably be helpful.
There's probably stuff they could send us to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just tell us what they are for the other communities.
Yeah.
And we can just accept or modify.
Yeah.
Or maybe simplify one, because we
Yeah.
have so few. Maybe just have
Did you get that guy's contact info?
high, medium, and low.
I could just,
Or
okay.
what
I
was
was
it? Gold,
so
silver,
tired.
bronze.
I remember almost any of that event actually.
Essie
It
had
was
a
like a
brand new
week
baby,
after
so
he
he
had
was
a
just kind of in a blur.
baby, so yeah.
So
Came in and I was like, why am I doing this? I don't.
it's like you looked tired.
Yeah.
Do you?
So budget
do
you have, and then if you wanted to set a time with Heather,
Okay.
maybe talk to her offline.
Okay.
Maybe as a preparation or a pre-meeting, and then bring something to the group. Does that
Okay.
make sense, or do you want to have the initial discussion here and then follow up?
I can reach out to her. You know her, right?
Who is that?
Heather.
Yeah.
I mean, I can text her, I can chat to her. Just the question is whether or not you trust me to. If I do it right now, it'll happen.
I'll reach out to Heather and.
She's very approachable. If
she's-
you haven't
yeah.
talked to her before, she's great. So she'll be glad to, I think, participate in any way that the chamber can, and she'll be glad to interface with this group.
Does someone else want to reach out to Pace, or I can as well?
Yeah, I was involved in another meeting that Leah was present at from Boulder County. This came up again. I can just follow up.
Okay.
on that. What's our request for Leah at this point?
I think our thing is figuring out what the different tiers are, with, like what's the template for a business
Yeah.
They must
recognition
have some
program.
small education piece they could send us to, like
Yeah.
a little summary of the program or something.
Yeah, I think it's outreach as well as recognition too, because we want to make sure that obviously the businesses are aware of it before we.
Are we allowed to
do
do
it.
some outreach, like on the newsletter, saying, hey, the latest PACE, or latest
I
gold
think-
tier members are so-and-so or something?
I don't think so. Are we allowed
Yeah.
to do stuff like that, Martin?
We don't know.
I'm sorry, I heard my name.
You're good. You're good.
Are we
What was
allowed
it?
to highlight businesses that have reached, a certain level of PACE or of our recognition program in the newsletter?
Oh, sure, yeah. So there's,
Excellent.
there's the town media. We can recognize folks
Great.
on our website. All the media that you're familiar with, we can use that for this.
The PACE guy also recommended, like, if there's any local publications, I know, like, Rock Creek Living, like, at the end of the year, depending on how many, like, at the end of the year, we could do, like, a big recognition page with all the businesses that
And I always think another really thing that people notice of it is the lighted sign out front.
Mm.
So-
Okay.
The sign that was broken for a couple of years.
No one noticed.
Just have to throw that out there.
For the record, I did notice as soon as the new one went up. I thought that was really cool.
And now everybody notices it, right?
Yeah.
This one is a lot better, and it has dynamic colors, and
Yeah.
it was a definite
Shade
upgrade.
of
It was
blue.
definitely.
Can I ask just one side question that's related to that, but not too? What is with the thing on the way to the Denver airport?
Oh.
Is that disgusting?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, did you not
Plastic
see,
art.
did
All
you
the
not hear
bright
what happened?
lights.
So they,
No.
okay, so
It's
Panasonic.
hideous.
No,
What are we
but
talking
here's the
about?
funny thing. It's
On the way
actually
to the
really quite
airport, they
funny.
put
So
this new thing in
Panasonic
the
said
video
that they were
that
going to
was,
do
like,
this
all
moving
bright
ad
lights.
thing. So
Oh,
there's
I
these
did see
sticks
that.
are supposed
Okay,
to be
yeah.
moving
It
ads.
sticks.
But
Yeah.
it's
I'm on.
actually forbidden by federal law to have advertising on airport property. So they.
They
so
put it
that's
in and now they
why
can't pay for
They
it.
can't use it for its intention. They're trying to get an exemption. So 'cause it's supposed to be like a moving billboard thing, and they can't
That's
use
hilarious.
it.
I thought it was a horrible, like,
It's- yeah.
obtrusive thing at night. It's like,
Well,
oh my God.
That's probably
And-
why it's not allowed by
Well,
federal law.
The last time I saw it was on, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry, I
really-
just
Okay.
didn't know what was going
Yeah,
on.
I think
whole
last time I
story
was
was
looking
really
for
funny.
Lucifer and then got distracted by the giant shiny thing. So
Yeah,
It's
Road.
terrible.
yeah. Anyway, back to our
Yes.
Speaking of lights.
So we had the Zero Waste Action Plan, the PACE program.
The business recognition.
Yeah. Is there other Boulder County sustainability items?
I mean, you could always, if you're going to reach out to them anyway, you could ask them if they have any brochures or anything that we could share at our booths for events,
Okay.
just about county-wide programs. So,
I'm going to jump in on that one. I had that as a note, so I think
Oh,
Ashley
cool.
probably already mentioned the events. Is there any new items you want to have in the event box for this year?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we were talking about that for Arbor Day of like streamlining what we take to the event so that it's like focused on the things that are coming up in our work plan. So like at Arbor Day, we'd like to have stuff about summer landscaping, water use, like any classes that or workshops that we get scheduled, the sprinkler audits. And so kind of like try and focus the materials we have, make sure they're the most up to date for the things that are coming up.
And that you would bring the box next meeting and that we'd sort of sort through it.
Sure. Yeah,
Mhm.
Mike was nice enough last year to volunteer to take it and sort out the random stuff.
Onesies.
I did like one cut, but we might need a second cut. Yeah.
Well, and I think it would just be good to know like what's in it so that we know like what's missing.
yeah.
So if we
As
like,
opposed to just getting to an event and going,
Yeah.
oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I'll put that up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So okay.
So, I have that as a note next one.
And.
Thank
and
you.
we'll- And anybody who hasn't will provide comments. Okay.
The last item that Via and Kate had touched on was the Energy Smart program, so that was the last.
Right.
And I know we talked about it of like, lots of like we don't have like a town discount available and we didn't budget for that and it's kind of expensive.
It is discounted from what the market price would be.
Yes.
Mhm.
By the
Yeah.
county.
It's like half off.
Boulder County.
Yes.
So we can still promote it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going to bring up the presentation. we
Okay.
had that night. So we had the Zero Waste Action Plan, the PACE program, and then so Energy Smart.
Actually, you know what might be good going forward is in our town communications to have kind of seasonal reminders about the energy audits, both PACE and Energy Smart. In the winter it could be, I mean, either way, in the summer or winter, it's like this, the worst time for your energy bills. Want to cut into that? Check this out. So.
We generally have, we get emails from Via and the folks in her office and incorporate this
Okay.
in our newsletter. We try to be as seasonal as possible.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember the
Sometimes
last
off
couple
time,
times.
But the county staff does a great job of sending
Cool.
those to us. So it's really the focus on the assessments.
Mm-hmm.
Longmont and Lafayette, Boulder. I think that's what Leah was highlighting as an opportunity. So what they do in Longmont and Lafayette is that the municipality contributes to have to go from $285-ish or whatever the price is through the county subsidization to an additional lower level.
Gotcha.
And then also just promoting the budget item for the upcoming budget season. To have that as a flag for this year's budget discussion.
you. Yeah, I think that's all this.
Cool. Okay, I have one addition on Boulder County since I did happen to have this other conversation with Leah. Since one of our action items is around gathering data for comparison and benchmarking with neighboring communities, I mentioned that and said, what is Boulder County a potential source of that type of data? Can they help gather an understanding of how different communities are doing on sustainability and compare? And she seemed to think they could, but it's not something that they have on hand. So it's also, since I'm emailing her about the business recognition requirements, I can follow up on that and see if she has other thoughts.
That'd be awesome.
And my sense is we'd score okay on solar, but I don't know how we'd score on most of the other energy things. We were lagging behind the others on the Energy Smart years ago, and I haven't heard much buzz.
So I think that's something, first quarter work plan stuff. Like we have that gather data for comparison and benchmarking. And maybe this is to put on next month's agenda, but like what data points do we want to go after? And so maybe next month discuss what are the data points we're interested in, what is available to us, and then we can move forward from that in actually gathering all of those data into one
Let's put it on
place.
the agenda, please, Martin.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be
That
great.
is identify data points.
Metrics.
Yes, identify what metrics and data points we want to look at. So
Specifically for.
Item number 4 on our first quarter work plan,
Okay.
benchmarking with neighboring communities.
Yeah, because I think originally when that was written, the intent was just focus on waste and if we're
That's what
meeting,
I was thinking.
hitting our zero waste goals. But I think given that we just changed the scope of the committee, we should broaden that as well.
Yeah.
So, and it's
We
vaguely
more
worded, which is
formally
great.
broadened it, yes.
That was intentional.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
So just metrics in general related to sustainability, and not necessarily energy or waste aversion, but just in general.
Keep it general.
Yeah,
sustainability.
I think if we can do, waste,
We'll
water,
figure out
and
what-
energy, ideally, if we
Figure
can
out what
find
our
something.
ideal would be and what we can actually do.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
we
because I
want.
think that was the goal, is like, where are we right now and what is a realistic and obtainable, like a goal that we can actually work towards
Mhm.
for all of those.
I'm going to follow protocol.
Without getting into long song and dance about my background, I've been working with the city of Annapolis in Maryland, that's where I grew up, and doing some research projects for them. And they recently built a solar farm. You guys can check it out. It's really cool because they took an old landfill. But they're also building a biomass thing. Now, I don't think there's a catchment for biomass here, but there is a town up in the mountains that does, they have a biomass plant. So just something that kind of popped in my head was, like we have sister cities all over the world. If, looking into moving our waste up to this biomass treatment center and how that would work. Like, do we make money from them off of that? Does it just give us a green stamp in terms of sustainability? Anyway, just the thought. I'm happy to I'll send Michelle because I know her. I can send her the report that I did. It does talk about the place up in there, or just the brief snippet. But anyway, just an idea, because we have this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this
no,
area
that'd be
over by
really
the dog
interesting.
park that takes all that garbage and tree, garden waste and such, and
Yeah.
it's really good for biomass. So
Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. Thanks.
That's awesome.
Hey.
Anything else on that item?
I don't have anything.
So those are the holdover items that I think were on the list from November.
Can we do elections?
Sure. Seems like you want to get to elections.
I don't want to, we put it 6 months.
Sit down, Mike.
It took 4 minutes. It'll take us
Shut the doors.
Lock the doors.
All right, nobody move. We're going to do elections.
I think the last time we had quorum was when I was elected.
Oh. Okay.
Hey, you're running the meeting?
It's our
Ostensibly.
procedure
So, what's the procedure for calling a leadership?
Call for ele-
Pretty straightforward.
I am.
Yeah.
Call
I think
for
for nominations.
call for nominations.
Might have to wrestle each other or something for the vice chair. Between the two of them, they're
Well,
like super vices.
Ezzy, are you interested to continue in your leadership role?
Sure. Absolutely.
Caitlin, are you interested to assume the number 2 position?
I would be delighted to.
We
I'll
have a
second
couple of-
both those motions.
Yeah. Excellent.
Does anybody else want to self-nominate or?
Heck, no, I've already been there, done that.
I'm sure.
Okay, then I'd say we,
All right, should we hold
By
a vote for
consensus.
Okay, so
both chair and vice chair?
Do you need to
Make a
that
motion.
we already did a motion and a second,
Okay.
so we're set there.
All right.
So vote.
All in
On
favor?
both?
I'm in favor.
All in favor?
All right, passes, yay.
Passes
Great, you're all
unanimously.
set. Thank
Woohoo.
you.
The
Thank
first
you.
time we've ever met that requirement.
Not first, but
It's
in
not
a
the
while.
first, but it's
In a
maybe the
January.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be the
Yeah.
earliest.
That's
Yeah.
actually, that's a good sign.
That's what I'm saying.
We've met it before, but.
Oh,
My
dear.
recollection.
I mean, it's not necessarily a topic that we want to cover, but does anybody know the status of Colleen? Is she going to actually like resign or?
I haven't heard from her. I had on my list of things to do. I can't remember if I mentioned this to
I
you
know it's a
yesterday or
big
not.
list of
To just
things,
reach
but-
out to both her and Tanya,
Mhm.
just to see if their schedules are going to open up so that they can attend more meetings this year.
And Essie said there were 2 people that may be applying to the
And
committee.
maybe 3 now.
And I
so.
don't know that either one of them
Excellent.
was you, was it?
Oh, you, yeah?
Excellent.
There's 2 in this room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. Thanks.
Well, we for sure have 2 openings. I personally think we have 4.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That's
Yeah.
my suspicion as well.
Yeah.
I know Tanya's work schedule got weird, and after Colleen left, we
So for
haven't seen her since.
anyone who's interested in applying, the applications are on the town website.
Mhm.
They
And
can
they
submit
do
it that
soon.
way.
And they're
Uh,
due soon, right?
What, is it kind of a rolling deadline or?
Oh, there's no deadline.
No
Yeah,
deadline,
that's-
yeah.
Appointed soon.
We try to get them, the interviews are scheduled as soon as possible, and then usually at the next meeting, the board considers appointments.
But there
Oh,
was a
okay,
push,
so-
and there
but I
was.
thought there were chunks of time, or there were dates that they sort of.
It's mostly
filled
just
Not set
around
dates,
the-
just whenever
Means
whenever there's
that they get
applications, we get them
Yeah.
set and
It's funny,
scheduled as soon as
'cause
possible.
I know why you said that, because somebody sent out an email from the town saying there was a deadline
No, they-
today.
Really?
They used
Yeah.
to, they used
Huh.
to do them
Whoops.
certain periods that they were in.
That's new.
I didn't say there was a deadline. I said there were openings, to be clear.
Somewhere in the website or on.
I saw it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So there,
Yeah, it
there
wasn't
is.
you, it was somebody
okay,
else that
There
sent
is
one.
no deadline,
Someone
but
worked.
it worked. You're here.
Maybe,
Yay.
maybe that's it. We do need deadlines.
There's,
But all
was a message
positions.
on Nextdoor about Boulder County Advisory.
Oh, okay.
I
that's
did
what
see
that
they
was.
posted
Okay.
that right after I did.
That
They
was
did.
today.
I knew
Yeah.
it wasn't from you.
Yeah, I was like, I
right
didn't
after
say
that,
it.
and I was like,
Was there something you, before I made us go to elections, was there something?
I
you
didn't have
wanted
anything
within
else.
5 you wanted?
No.
Okay, all right.
So thanks for we posted something on
Nextdoor and
Nextdoor? Oh,
Facebook.
great, thank you.
So,
But yeah, all town advisory committee vacancies are open until filled. There are no deadlines.
Yeah.
and just as a warning, you do have to come to a town council meeting and introduce yourself at the podium, which I was not prepared for. So.
oh,
Yeah, I think that's. I've done a lot of public speaking, and
I
that was
was
like the
like,
most intimidating thing I've ever done.
yeah.
It's like coming up and saying up in front of everyone, and
Yeah.
yeah, just being stared
I think
at.
National workshops doesn't bother me in the least. This
Yeah.
one, I'm,
I'm like,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's not
thank-
just me. I showed up the first time. I was like,
Well, the youth.
It's always that first time because all of y'all have had a
well,
chance to come up here.
it's getting better
No?
over time, but it's still uncomfortable.
Well, I appreciate your energy.
We had
Yeah,
3
it is.
teenagers who went for the youth committee right before me, so that made me feel more brave.
Excellent.
But it is very painless and usually takes only a minute or 2.
Yeah.
So please don't be discouraged.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Do you just to introduce themselves?
The interviews typically are at work
Just to
sessions,
introduce
yes.
themselves?
or if there was something you
Yeah.
wanted to say.
Well, is there anything else that anyone wanted to discuss this meeting?
Do
I
you
would
guys?
say we
had a
should do
good
public
idea.
comment again because these guys weren't here during.
Yeah.
the
Oh,
comment
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
period. Might be something.
Hi, I'm Michelle Gazarick. So,
Hi.
nice to meet you. I just was curious about the Christmas tree report because I'm in that Boy Scout troop. I'm the troop committee chair, so
Excellent.
I missed it. So I was just wondering what the report was. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, we did not have data.
Oh, you didn't have data?
We had,
I could give you some data
Oh.
from our side.
Excellent.
yeah.
I think we picked up over 500 trees from Superior and Louisville. So we partner with Troop 575 in Louisville. So many of our scouts go to Monarch High School. Some go to Fairview, and a few are homeschooled. So it's a really good cooperative effort. So we actually had some trickle in. I don't know if I would love to hear if you hear any negative feedback about the process of what we can improve. But all in all, I think it was really good. The only thing I wanted to do, Michelle, maybe you can help me on this, the company that picks up Superior Salvage. I asked if I could take the wreaths that we sell from Monarch,
Oh, right.
from the Booster Club, and he already takes them, and he scrap metals the form,
rings?
the metal form, the metal ring. And I wondered if we could find out from the people that sell that if they ever want it back to recycle it rather than to scrap
I
it.
could certainly ask him that. I
So
don't
if
think
you
he would be
wanna-
offended to that, because it sounds like
Be
he
cool.
has other wreaths then
Right.
too. Like,
Yeah,
he just
yeah. So
wants
people will
someplace we
put out
go.
their wreaths when they put out their trees, and so I was just concerned that he didn't landfill the metal forms.
Yeah.
But he says he scrap metals, so I don't want to take away from his
Oh, right.
income because scrap metal does bring in
No,
some
but I
money.
think that's perfect.
But
I'll write
if,
him an email, like,
but it's
literally
better
right
to
now.
recycle them than to scrap them if that's possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we really enjoyed the tree program, and I think it helps the community. It helps the boys get out to meet people and get their name known. And I think it helps people get rid of their trees rather than just letting them sit in the yard or blow away or wherever they're going to put them.
Did you have an increase over last year?
We had about the same. So we're always interested to see if people are buying more artificial trees.
I was going to say,
And that is, so I was surprised we had as many. I thought with all the sales going on with artificial, we would have less, but that wasn't the case. We had just as many as we did last year.
I know I have to
So-
say, I didn't get to participate again, but I was really excited that the date changed. And I know most of it's surrounding the school holiday, but I know a lot of people that didn't participate because you had always collected them so early. Like, we never
Yeah.
take ours down until after the 12th night, which is the 7th.
Which is the 7th.
Which would be on the 7th after the 6th.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so like your timing,
It's usually how it works, yeah.
your timing was perfect, except then we were out of town.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could do a second pickup.
Yeah.
Like on a weeknight, that would be a smaller group of the people that would keep it past the 12th night. Because
Yeah,
there
no, I
were
think
a
that
few
was
people that
great.
were doing that.
I was so excited when I saw the date until I went, oh crap.
So we can take that suggestion back and try to implement that for
No,
next
but that's
year.
good. I'm glad the numbers are
Yeah.
still up. It's such a great service.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks
for
so much.
having them.
any other comments?
Cool.
Move to adjourn?
I second.
Meeting adjourned.